Hello, you are listening to the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio, your global feel good radio. I'm your host, Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer and Amazon #1 bestselling author. You can find out more about me and my work at catherinecarrigan.com and unlimitedenergynow.com. While you're there, definitely sign up for my newsletter so you can learn even more about how you can heal yourself naturally. Now, our guest today is one of my favorite people in the entire world. This is Sue Maes. Sue Maes is an empowerment coach, and you can find out more about Sue and her wonderful work at SueMaesLifeCoach.com. Welcome, Sue Maes.
Thank you very much.
Now, what we're going to be talking about today is something very near and dear to my heart. I'm so excited about this because Sue and I'm sponsoring Sue to host her mentorship here in Atlanta beginning this fall in 2019. And Sue has a mentorship in healing where she basically teaches you everything that you need to know to be a very powerful healer. Now, I'm 60 years old. I took my first internship with Sue about 20 years ago when I was about 40 years old. And I have to, give this raving reviews. I've done Sue's internship not just once, but 4 times. And I've been all over the world studying natural healing. Last year I was in England and I went to Colorado. And I remember thinking, I should have just been studying with Sue. And what's great about this, there's so many things that are awesome about this. I know so many people who have studied little bits and pieces about natural healing, but they don't have a system to put this all together. So when you study with Sue, you're going to learn an entire system that you can use to clear issues at the deepest level, whether these are health issues, relationship issues, money issues. So Sue Maes, what exactly is the Ultimate Self-Empowerment Course?
Well, it's a mentorship course, first of all, so people know that they're going to come to the course, they're going to do hands-on healing. I'm going to correct them if they're incorrect. I'm going to teach them to do it correctly. And then they're also going to be supported after they're done the course, so they can call me if they run into problems. But it's really a system that I developed because when I first went out there in the world in the 70s and early 80s taking natural healings, I didn't have a technique or a way to put it all together. I learned great, fabulous information, but I didn't know how to put it together. And I really had to work in my own practice to figure that out, how to make a system so that I could have follow through and that I was guaranteed from start to finish the person was going to get better. Because that's really the goal if you're doing this work for someone else or even for yourself, that self-empowerment part has to come from a space where you're healing all levels, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. It's got to hit all of those in order for you to really feel, connect, and get bonded to, this is a real change for me.
Yeah, and I just want to say for our audience, there are thousands of wonderful natural healing techniques, okay? However, often the emphasis is on doing the technique. So you're learning acupuncture, which is fabulous, or hypnosis, which is fabulous, or physical therapy, which is fabulous, or nutrition, which is fabulous, but there's no system to put it all together that I know of other than Sue's work. So that when you're working with someone, you're working on the physical, energetic, emotional, mental, and spiritual levels. And I know so many people who are highly trained in natural healing who are not able to make a living. And it's Sue's work that has allowed me to have the life that I personally want. I work out of my house. I own my house. I own my car. I have no debt. I have a wonderful life doing what I love to do, helping people all over the world. And it's because I've learned this fabulous system. And so I'm so excited to be able to offer this to others. And the last time that I sponsored Sue to do the internship here in Atlanta was in 2009. So in 10 years, I have people, asking me, Catherine, how do you do what you do? And I'm like, okay, this is not one thing. This is many things. And let's learn from the best. Now, Sue, why is it so important for people to learn a system that people can use as sort of a framework in which they can plug in all these other different modalities?
Well, the nice part about what I've created is that everybody is out there learning different things, and all of them are important, and all of them have great healing possibilities. But you have to unlock it within a person the way they locked it up. So I usually tell people, you know what, remember when you were in high school and we all had lockers, and I could go to your locker, but I couldn't open it. And with the system that I've created, I find out where you locked this problem up. Did you lock it in your physical body? Did you lock it in your emotional body? Did you lock it in your mental body? Is it spiritual? Is it hidden? Like, did you lock it totally away and hope nobody ever sees it or hears of it or knows of it? And so we take all of that into consideration and find out where you locked up whatever the painful issue is, or maybe it's not painful, maybe it's just a frustration or something that just ticks you off on a regular basis, how to help you to pull that energy back in so that we can clear it. The big thing that I like people to know is you don't have to do retracing. So in homeopathic medicine, you retrace back to the moment it started. We can go to that moment, but we don't have to retrace all the emotional connections. We don't have to retrace all the hurt. We don't have to go through all the pain again. But we can activate that spot or that piece, and then we can find out how you want to get rid of it, like where it got really stuck. Like in NLP, they'll tell you, which direction your eyes were when you locked something up. In kinesiology, using kinesiology, we can find out where it's actually is stuck and then how to unwind it in the way that you wound it up so that really it's actually gone and removed, not only from your mental being, but from your emotional being and all the way out through your aura. So we don't have to think about, when's it going to come back and get me and haunt me again? It's going to be removed. And that's what I really like about this work, because it encompasses everything. And it doesn't matter what you've studied before. Like you could have studied touch for health, or you could have studied Reiki, or you could have studied reflexology or, nutrition. It doesn't matter which piece. All of those pieces fit within my system in order for you to get to the healing that people are looking for.
So Sue's system, if I could say, the Ultimate Self-Empowerment course is basically a master healing system. And as you grow and learn different modalities, you can plug them in. Now, let me give you a real practical example of why this is so crucial. I did a medical intuitive reading in the past week with a woman who's been having severe anxiety, which she referred to as post-traumatic stress disorder, for 2.5 years. So for 2.5 years, she's been doing weekly psychotherapy. She's received somatic therapy, which is where you work on the body, and she's received EMDR, okay? So all three of those are very valid, very valuable, and important modalities. But she wanted to have a medical intuitive reading with me because she wasn't actually getting better. And I said to her, these are all really good modalities and you're working with really good people. However, you are not addressing the core issues. And in her case, none of the issues were addressing her depleted brain chemistry. And I talked about how she needed to balance her neurotransmitters, which is one of the things that we learned to do in Sue's internship. and how to use amino acids and supplements to build your brain chemistry back, which is different from taking antidepressants. And again, if you're on medication, bless you. But this is about learning how to heal your brain naturally. I also talked about how none of the therapies that she was doing were addressing the childhood trauma, because I could tell that she'd been severely abused when she was 3 or 4 years old. And she admitted, yes, I was sexually abused at that time. Well, it wasn't unlocking that. It wasn't unlocking the fear. So again, you've got to have a system that's more than just a technique that allows you to identify, where did this issue start? Did it start on the physical level? Did it start on the energetic level, on the emotional, mental, or spiritual? And when you address where the issue is going on, then you can plug in the modalities that will clear it.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
Right? And so many of my clients as a medical intuitive, they've been working really hard. They've been taking their supplements and they've been talking to their therapist every week, and they're not better because somehow they're missing all these other levels. And that's why the work that I've learned from Sue is so incredibly powerful. Now,
Well, one of the things that I tell people, Catherine, when you're doing all that kind of therapy, was, when do you get to graduate? You have to graduate. You have to get past those. And if you keep going to a therapist that you're always reiterating the same thing, your energy doesn't shift fast enough to get you the vibration that you need to make it move into the next space. And that's really what this course allows you to do, is learn how to do that, not only for yourself, but for other people if you want to work with them. I've had lots of people take this course for the sole reason of just doing self-healing, because they, like you said, have spent so much money on other courses, going to therapists, and they're really not getting to the bottom of what it is. And that's really what I'm excited about this course, because we get to the bottom of the issue, and then we can clear it so the person can walk away with a reset, so they start to reframe their life in a new way that helps them explore and become more than they thought they were.
Now, I have to give a personal testimonial, because the first time that I did Sue's internship, I was so sick. I had to lie down at lunch every day. So everybody else would go to lunch and I would be like lying down resting because I was so sick. Look at me today, drug-free, really happy and healthy. And so and at the same time, I had done decades of inner work before I even got there, right?
Right.
So it was really allowing me to heal at the deepest levels. And, the other thing, there's so many things I love about this internship. We don't just talk about something. Sue will demonstrate the technique, and then I'll work on a person, and then they'll work on me. So you receive tremendous amount of healing. And I'm excited about sponsoring the internship. I know this work. I do it every day. But by taking the internship, you make this massive leap forward in your life. And I'm always very aggressive about my own personal growth. So I just cannot wait to do this again.
Do it again.
Yeah. Now, Sue, how long have you been teaching the Ultimate Self-Empowerment course?
Well, I started in 1990, and not because I chose to teach it, because I had people that were in courses that I met, and they said, how are you doing this? How come you're making money and I'm not making breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? They weren't getting enough money. And I said, you know what, you can change that, and this is how. And so I had about 2 or 3 women that said to me, can I come and watch you in your practice? So that's how I started. I had 2 or 3 women who came, and with my client's permission, they didn't ask any questions. They just watched me work. And when the day was done, we sat together, and then they asked questions. Well, that worked for a couple of years. And then the next group said, could you write a note on how you got to there? So pretty soon I started to be writing more and more. And so I've come up with this great book that one for each week and more than that, to help people follow the procedures when they get home and not have to do it by memory. They can go in and be refreshed. But it really was starting just at square one with helping others that weren't flourishing. I can say, I've been making over 6 figures probably from the second year I was in practice. The first year, I floundered like everybody else. I didn't know what to do, and I had to figure this out myself. And once I figured it out, it got really simple. And then I never went back to struggle. And you know as well as I do, Catherine, in this kind of work, there's a lot of people that spend a lot of money, take a lot of courses, come up with lots of information. It's lots of feel good, but if you don't know how to make a living from it, that's not okay either. Because we all have to eat, we all have mortgages, car payments, all those things that people struggle with. And it's like how to get out of that problem of struggle and into, I'm flourishing and thriving. And that's what this course allowed people to do. And I've had people from all over the world come and do the course. I haven't taught in the last 3 years. As you know, my husband was very sick and passed, and I was doing that. So that was the reason I wasn't teaching for 3 years. But I'm so excited to be back and teaching because it really helps people to come to another place. And the field itself is narrowing. There aren't enough people out there doing what we're doing. And there's a big void. A lot of us are getting older. And who are the young people going to go to? That's one of my biggest concerns. I want whatever's in my brain to be able to come out and be absorbed and people use it. I'd like the Dr. Spock thing, how he used to just go in. I wish I had that to just give everybody. That'd be so much easier.
Yeah, I've had people, ask me, so, hey, do you know anybody who does what you do in my area? And I say, sorry, I don't. You'd have to go to Canada. And it's like, I said not to be arrogant, but I actually don't. And after learning Sue's work, I've been making a 6-figure income for, consistently for the past 20 years while working out of my house, teaching yoga, writing, publishing 9 books, running a radio show, having a wonderful life. Now, can you tell people what the internship is? Because I know it's 4 weeks and we go 1 week at a time. So, well,
the reason I started with 4 weeks is that gives us the basic of physical, mental, emotional, and a little bit of spiritual. It covers some nutrition, but the first week is basically about brain integration, brain fulfillment, understanding how the brain integrates information, how your dominance makes a difference, how your profile makes a difference. And then not only that information, how to turn on the brain, how to get those neurotransmitters to work, how to get your amino acids to work, how to make every piece of that brain function to the ultimate. And at first you have to learn that information, because I think when I first started in some of the kinesiologies, it was very evident, because we didn't have a lot of books at that time in the early 80s. There weren't very many books written on it. There was a lot of information that was missing, but from the notes, there was lots of bibliographies. And I'm pretty curious. So when I started, I was going to the library and reading all the books that I saw in the bibliography. I thought, well, if they read them and that helped them, I must have to read them too. And so I read them, and it was very interesting that there wasn't enough information about how the brain functioned. And I've been very blessed in my healing career to go to lots of the #1 teachers, like the people who actually taught the courses and put their thoughts together. And so I learned a lot of this. And in some of them, like in one research class, I learned a brain technique that from a medical doctor. And I can tell you, it can clear more in the brain than people ever know. And it can increase your mental fitness within the brain in a technique that can take us less than an hour to do. I remember in one class, I had a lady that said, well, I can't really afford all this class. I don't know how I'm going to make the next payment. And I said, at the end of the class, I'm going to teach you some, like when we get to the end of the first week, I'm going to teach you some techniques. Go home and charge $25 to your friends and neighbors and do every one of them. She came back and she handed me the rest of the money for the whole class. She said, that was easy. It was fun. Everybody improved and they liked it. And she said, so I can't thank you enough. She says, I was so afraid that I wouldn't be able to do this. And it made such a big difference. We also learned basic hand modes. So you don't have to, you can use your menu or you can use hand modes to find out what's going on with people. We talk about sugar. We talk about things that affect the brain, the nutritional components. So that's just the first week. Then the second week, we really go right into stress, how to manage stress, how to get rid of stress, choosing your attitude, setting boundaries, using affirmations, using remedies, natural remedies, then really talking about how to get rid of the emotions, whether it's paged emotions, whether it's meridian emotions, because I started off in shiatsu years ago, and in shiatsu we learned where all the meridians went and the times and what organ it related to, but we also learned all the emotions that went with each one, and that you're going to learn all that. We're going to learn about the 7 basic chakras, but we want to talk about the 12. Crystals, how to use them for healing. There's a lot of different things. And then when we move to the next week, we're really into putting a lot of this together. So we start with willingness, get rid of your dramas, your sabotage, get you out of stress and keep you out of reaction. Because if there's one thing that's consistent in my private practice over all these over 30 years is when people come in, they're in fight or flight. And if they can't get out of that fight or flight response, they're always reacting. They're not choosing how they want to respond. So when I first start with a client, I tell them don't make any choices for the first 12 weeks while we're working together, because I want you to feel better and I want you to have choice from a true place of not in fight or flight. Because when you're in fight or flight, it's not a good time to make a decision. It's really a hard spot. So we want to correct that adrenal stress that goes with that. We talk about the lymphatic system, the nervous system, all the things that help us to heal. We talk about food allergies and we show you how to test for some food allergies or environmental stresses. We learn alarm points for meridians. We learn a lot about structure, how to keep your structure strong, and not only strong, but flexible and movement, so that you're not, you don't have to age the way people think. They think you've got to get old, get sick, and die. I want to be happy, healthy, and then dead. And that's what I'd like to teach. And then at the last part of that 4 weeks, we spend a couple days on business, on how to build a business, how to run a business, how to make this first part work for you so that you are actively getting clients and making a change if you want to. And if you don't want to, there's no problem with that, because at the end, you're going to be so self-empowered. You're going to say, oh, here's some things that I've been thinking of doing. And, you want to bring in their empowering qualities. And that's easy to do when you've done all this work, because now you can get into the balance, the compassion. You can open up their creativity. They're enjoying their stuff and they feel fulfilled and they've got healing. And then they have the freedom to choose a career if they want in this work.
Yeah, and I just want to point out another thing that's really unique about your work, Sue, and that you make a point of calling this self-empowerment technology. And I remember a long time ago, you said to me, we have to stop being teacher and student. We're now equal. And yep. You point out that your goal is not to set yourself up as a guru.
Nope.
Some people in natural healing, they fall into that trap of wanting to be a guru or searching for a guru. But the problem is then there's this massive power imbalance, right?
And it's not fun. It doesn't feel right. We all started out as learners. We all want to learn. And if you learn, there has to be that point where you do become an equal, where you go, okay, you've learned a lot, and now you've put your own spin on it, which is wonderful. You get all this information, how you put it together to work for you. I've got people that have taken the internship and say, I don't want to do any of the physical work. I don't want to do anything on the physical body. And I said, that's fine. Do the pieces that you excel at. And that's what they do. So they don't feel like, oh, I learned that and I'm not using it. You can plug in, like you said before, all the other modalities that are out there that you've learned. I put the things that work into this program. There's lots of different modalities that we along the way have taken. I once took a course and I paid $900 US in the early or middle 80s. And I got one thing out of that course that is fabulous work. It works every time. It's easy, and I teach it. And it's only one thing. So you could either be mad that, I've spent all that money and I only learned one thing, or you can be excited that what I've done is I've taken all the best of all the courses I've done and put it together and say, here's the things that I know that works on a day-to-day basis to make you a success. And that's really all I want, is for everybody else to be a success too. Because, then we all have something that we desire, and then we excel at it.
Now, so basically what people learn in this ultimate self-empowerment course is this system. So I know I have a client, he makes about $500,000 a year in the financial services industry. However, he's not happy. He doesn't feel fulfilled. And I told him, I said, come and study with Sue and then use this work to clear people's money issues. Because one of the things that I do that I learned from you is clearing people's money issues. And the reason that's so important is that so many people, even people who make lots of money or who have lots of money, are still in survival mode because they haven't developed a healthy relationship with money. They're still running on old scarcity programs. They're not able to manifest what they want. And I'm like, you don't have to give up this career that you already have that's making you a lot of money, but you can add this system to it that's going to provide you some tools that will really empower people, right?
And the money issue is, when I first started teaching the money course, it was because I was having, like you said, people who were multimillionaires coming in and people with no money, and they all had the same issues. It was like, really? How is that possible? Right? But they were the people that had what I call, years ago we used to say, fake it until you make it. And that was a great statement. But there comes a point when you have to say, okay, I'm not faking it anymore. It's kind of like Malcolm Gladwell saying, you need 10,000 hours to become an expert at what you do. And you can become an expert quite easily if you're doing something you love. But the money issues, boy, that's the same all the way across the board. Like you said, I've had multimillionaires too, and same issues as the person sitting beside them that hasn't got 2 cents to rub together, right?
Yes.
Clearing it allows them to become self-confident and have that freedom into making good choices with their money and not always self-sabotaging.
Yeah. And I've been practicing natural healing full-time for 26 years. And again, it was about 20 years ago that I went to study with Sue. And I remember I was so excited. I have to tell this story because I first heard Sue at a brain gym convention in Toronto, Canada. And she gave this amazing presentation about changing your brain. The next year, this is really a great story, we were together in Victoria, Canada at a brain gym convention. I was about to go in to give a talk about my first book. And Sue and I were standing in the hallway, and Sue did healing work with me for, I kid you not, about 5 minutes. And I was smart enough to realize that she totally changed the course of my entire life in 5 minutes. And I was like, whoa, I want to do what she does.
Thank you.
And I remember I wasn't healthy enough. So I worked really hard to try and get healthy enough. And then, as I said, I was still so unhealthy. I had to lie down at lunch every day, but now here I am, age 60, and making a great career out of it and really, really helping people. Now, of course, Sue, when I came to your internship, the first time I'd studied Touch for Health, I'd studied Brain Gym, I'd studied Reiki, I've been studying Qigong and yoga and, multiple other systems. But at the same time, I've attended your seminars with people who've had no experience in natural healing whatsoever. So how can people who have no previous experience benefit from learning your system?
Well, that's the fun part, because they're a clear mind. We can put in whatever they need. We can plug in the system. They'll learn at the very beginning how to do it. And that's the gift. For me, that's the gift. I love working with people who've never done anything before, because it's like opening a new book and seeing them so excited about, what they're going to learn and how they're going to learn. And it's really about teaching them that they have the power to do this, that all of us started at the beginning. All of us started without knowing very much, and it develops, right? And it expands our soul. That's basically what I think it does at a unconscious level. It expands who we are at that soul level. And when you're a beginner, it's got that aura of, is this even possible? And to see them go from the mindset of impossible to possible is, for me, just a fabulous place to start. And, if somebody isn't teaching the beginners, everybody wants to teach the people after they know a lot. But, there's got to be somebody teaching the beginners. I remember when I started this work, there were a lot of people a few people in Ontario, they didn't want to work with children. So they started sending all the children to me. So I ended up with all the kids with ADD and all the kids with hyperactivity and all the kids with OCD and all of the, not hearing, listening properly, all of those problems. And I just looked at them all and said, wow, I can change this. There's a lot of possibilities here. And so I started my practice a lot with little kids or young children, and so the excitement that I saw in them still carries forth in adults when they're learning this work from the very beginning. Muscle testing kinesiology has been around for a long time. Applied kinesiology came to Canada in the early 80s from Dr. George Goodhart. And just being around the types of people that I had the privilege of meeting and knowing, they all started teaching people that didn't know anything either. And when you first teach kinesiology, just muscle testing, and they go, wow, how's that possible, right? It's quite an honor to know that you're teaching someone a technique that they will learn how to take care of themselves at the highest level, right? So I'm always honored when I start with beginners. It's fun and exciting, and and you don't have to unlearn anything from them.
True. They haven't learned any bad habits.
Yeah.
Now, to me, one of the best things about your course is what we do in the beginning, because basically you turn on people's brains. So
Yes.
behind me are my 7 Amazon #1 bestsellers. I've published 9 books, 7 Amazon #1 bestsellers. And among the authors who I started with my writing coach, I've written more books than they have. And I feel it all goes back to the brain work that I did with Sue, because most people are not using, what is it, Sue? Most people are using 6% of their brain or something like that. And with great stress at that.
Yes.
Right? The part that you are using, it's really hard to do that. So what's interesting for me, I was Phi Beta Kappa at Brown University. I gave the Phi Beta Kappa speech when I graduated. However, I had a tremendous amount of stress. I was on lithium and antidepressants for 18 years. I got off all the antidepressants when I was 34. So I've been drug-free for 26 years when I started doing my natural healing. And, but it was really going to Sue's course that turned on all of my brain that allowed me to, have this truly accelerated career. And, can you talk, Sue, because this is hands-on healing. This is the part that cannot be done remotely or by Skype or Zoom or phone. How important is it for people to turn on all parts of their brain, and what happens when we're using our full brain potential?
Well, first of all, I don't think any of us are close to our full brain potential, but I think we can accelerate it when we've got a couple of techniques that help us to see how our own brain is functioning and how to bring that energy up so that we're at a level that we're accelerating how our vibration, so that we can take information in at a faster level and put it out, and really understand that what you're putting out is of value, right? So many people, when they're stressed, they may be running and putting stuff out, but it's not of value. And we need that piece to come in. The brain importance, that's why my whole first week is about the brain. I know it's tedious, and I know that you don't want to come and you'd rather sit and watch me on the video, but I'm not going to do that work that way. This work is so important, and you need to be seen, and you need to feel it in your hands, and you need to feel it in your brain, so that you actually have an actual physical experience and a physical memory, so you can pull that up and go, whenever you're stressed, I just need to go back there, so that you can get that. I've been approached many a time to put all of this work on the internet, and I'm not going to do it, because when I watch you work on each other, I can see where the mistakes are. I can see the little idiosyncrasies that you may have missed, and I can help you to show you how to make it easier. And once you get all those pieces together, really you start to function at a different level. The brain functions at a different level, you function at a different level, stress goes down, and you'll know when you have brain stress. You and I both know, when I wake up, sometimes it's like, oh, I better do something for my brain this morning. I better, either be taking my amino acids, or maybe I need to do an exercise that helps calm the brain. Maybe I need to do something, and knowing which piece to do at those times is very important, so you're right back on track. It's not like it takes me a week or 2 or 3. I teach it so that clients and students know how to do it for themselves, so they can do that self-care. That's why it's a self-empowerment. I don't want you to come to me forever to get healthy. I want you to learn how to take care of yourself. And that's what I love about this work. It's really about that. How to teach that so you can teach yourself and others.
Yeah, and I just want to say, because lots of people ask me, I am a medical intuitive. When I'm doing medical intuitive readings, I'm literally reading your physical body, energy body, emotional, mental, and spiritual. I'm not muscle testing.
Right.
But when all this work starts with you, and you have to have all parts of your brain switched on, you have to be balanced in your own energy system to work at the level that I do. So I feel very strongly, if you want to be a major healer, if you want to get out of survivor mode, if you're already in natural healing and you're not making a living, this is the system that you need to learn, right?
Right.
In order to do that. Now,
I always tell people, if you don't build your dreams, this is a quote, someone will hire you to build theirs. Right? And so it's like, I don't want to be doing someone else's dream. I want the clients and the people that are coming to this class, to learn you get to build your dream. This is for you. This is time for you to build that. And like you said, there's more work past this 4-week course. I've got a soul class, I've got a money class, there's all kinds of different levels. I've got an advanced class, but this is the basics. If you don't have these basics, you've got nothing to plug all that other stuff into. And that's where you really need to start at the beginning.
Yeah. And my feeling as a medical intuitive is that if you start to try and channel energy and information at super high levels, and you're not grounded, you're not healthy, you're going to get into so much trouble so quickly, it's not even funny. So you've got to get yourself centered, you got to get your brain right, emotionally balanced, clear your issues, and then you can work at a much higher level. Now, Sue, what is the cost of the Ultimate Self-Empowerment course?
So for the 4 weeks, it's $6,500. And if they sign up a month before, they can get a $500 discount. For people that are having trouble coming up with that, they can pay it over the course of the time. But they'd have to ask me about that personally. That's a personal choice. Like I said, I've never had anybody that took the course that didn't make that money back in their first 2 months of work. So I just think it's a good value for what you're getting. Everybody gets a manual for each week, so they come home with something tangible, so when they have questions, they can do it. And for the first, 6 months to a year after, if they're stuck, they can call me at no charge, and I'm going to tell them where they're stuck and how to fix it. So, it's not like I'm going to drop the ball after and there's no support. That's not what this is about. This isn't someone you've never met on the internet. It's someone that's going to be in your face. I'm going to tell you when you're on and when you're off, and how to help you get to that extreme level of self-care that you know yourself well enough to say, I'm not balanced, or I need some more compassion today, or I want my creativity to open, and then know what to do that for yourself.
Very important work. Now, there's so many people teaching different modalities over the internet. Why do you feel, Sue, that it's important this work be learned in person and hands-on?
Well, I don't think you can get energetic feelings and vibrations through the internet. I think you have to be in touch with the person, and really, when you're working and touching a body, you are receiving healing, you're giving healing, and that does not always come true when you're sitting in front of a computer. You've got all the electromagnetic stuff from a computer going on, vibrations going through your body, and you're not really focused in the same way, right? Looking at a computer can put you into a trance. So then your brain isn't functioning at the highest level either. When you're in person, it's going to happen.
And then plus, you're not watching that person. The person doesn't know whether they're doing the technique correctly or not, right?
Exactly. They need to know. I remember even you, Catherine, coming back when I think it was the second time and saying, well, I've been doing that technique totally wrong. And it's like,
absolutely.
Right? And that was like, okay, now you've figured out how to do it correctly, right? It's not that we'll integrate every piece at the same time, but it's like knowing that you can change that. And if you're hands-on while you're here, it's pretty easy, and it flows, and your own energy responds, and you will be healed in that 4-week time frame yourself, and not just think about it, or I think I saw it and I wonder if I can really do it, and did I really take the time to do it? When you're in my class, you're going to see me demonstrate it, you're going to hear it, you're going to practice it, I'm going to correct you if you're incorrect, and then you're going to get the results and feel what that feels within your own body. And that's why I think it's the ultimate self-empowerment, because you've got to know what it feels like to be at that level.
Absolutely. And that's part of why I'm excited about doing it again, because it's not just you're going to hear about a bunch of stuff. I'm going to receive a tremendous amount of personal healing. So even if you don't want to have a practice as a healer or as a coach, you're going to clear so much stuff. It's not even funny. And like I said, even though my life is already pretty awesome, I want to move to the next level.
And we all want to keep moving forward. And that's an easy way to do it, right? You can learn other techniques, but if you're not doing your own work, it's not okay. I can't just work on other people. What I tell people that take this course, and you've heard it before, you know what? If you don't clear your own stuff, it's going to come up in your practice day after day after day until you take the time to clear your own stuff. And the nice part is, by learning this course, you've already cleared a lot. So you're ready to be, coaching other people if you choose, or you're ready to just say to yourself, okay, now I can go and achieve some of my goals if I'm doing this just for my self-growth, because now I'm clear. I'm in a clear space. And that's really what we want.
Yeah, and it's so true that as a healer or as a coach, you can only take people as far as you've gone yourself, right?
Yes, exactly.
Right?
So the farther we go, the better it is for them.
Yeah, I mean, I know a naturopath who is overweight and unhealthy and depressed. It's like, that's as far as you're going to be able to help your clients, right?
Yes.
You've got to do the work yourself, and then your clients can match that vibration.
Exactly. Right? And that's really what you're looking for, is that matching. And within this course, you're going to learn that, how to get your own system as clear as possible, and get your brain working as clear as possible, which helps you not to be in fight or flight, helps your adrenals, helps your emotional component, so that you are walking around in a balanced way with compassion, with your creativity, lots of joy, and good health for yourself.
Yeah, I was talking to a client who happened to be in Canada. We were working on the video conference, and she said to me, I should be able to figure this out myself. And I said to her, I said, well, if you could have a healthy relationship with food, or a healthy relationship with your body on your own, you would have already been doing that. I said, you've got to be working with somebody who's already there, who's cleared the issues in herself, who can help you match that vibration.
Right.
And so again, there's so much wonderful work that you're going to receive and going to be able to give when you take Sue Maes' Ultimate Self-Empowerment Coach. So Sue, any final thoughts for our audience?
Well, there's a saying by Buddha: your work is to discover your work, and then with all your heart to give yourself into it. And that's what I do. And that's what I love.
Pretty awesome. So I have so much joy and gratitude for Sue Maes, and I'm really excited about sponsoring the Ultimate Self-Empowerment course here in Atlanta beginning in the fall. The course starts in October. So you can contact Sue at SueMaesLifeCoach.com or myself at CatherineCarrigan.com. We'll be happy to have you in the course. You've been listening to the Natural Healing Show on UK Health Radio, your global feel-good radio. You can find out more about me and my work as a medical intuitive and Amazon #1 bestselling author at CatherineCarrigan.com and UnlimitedEnergyNow.com. While you're there, definitely sign up for my newsletter so you can learn even more about how you can heal yourself naturally. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.